Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor to present our keynote speaker, His Highness Khalifa Muhammadu Sanusi II, the Emir of Kano. Thank you.
Very much. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Your Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, ably represented by the Secretary to the State Government, my brother, the Honorable Minister for Education, a Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, members of Senate, Council, Congregation, and Convocation, please permit me to stand on already established protocols. I do apologize for being the reason for changing the program. I know the graduates who are soon to become graduates cannot wait for their conferment. In addition, I know I'm the only one probably standing between many of you and your lunch. But the schedule was supposed to be ending at 2:30, and I have a flight to catch, so I thought it was important to give my speech before it gets too late. Maybe as laying the foundation for the students who are graduating, for those who are graduating here. The point has been made to you that this should not be the end, it is the beginning. And I'm always proud to hold myself up as an example to young people that education is something that you never finish. As of today, I'm a 300 level undergraduate student in the Faculty of Law at Northwest University. Now, last year when I started the course, the dean requested me to speak to my classmates and say a few words to them. And I do go to class every day, by the way, every single day. And when I'm not there, I go online. And I'll tell you the story about the law. And I said to them, the first time I was at 200 level was in 1978, when I started economics, my bachelor's degree in Ahmed Bello University. The second time I was at 200 level was in 1992, when I went in for another bachelor's degree in Sharia and Islamic Studies in the Sudan. And therefore, 2025 was the third time I would be at 200 level. And in between, I had done a PhD. So, and I said to them, I plan to be in school until the age of 70 and then go into a life of research. And why do we do this? First of all, education is not a meal ticket. Education is about yourself. You study because you want to improve yourself. You study what you know will make you a better person. I had wanted to study law in 1978 when I finished SBS and was going to university. I ended up in economics. It's another story. I didn't make the cut. I could have made the dean's list, but the dean warned me because I had my reputation from my first year of being in the Ali Must Go strikes. Told me that the Faculty of Law was not for irresponsible radicals. And if I came to the faculty and brought any of my radicalism to them, I would be expelled. So since I had no plans for not being a radical at that time, I decided to go to the Faculty of Social Sciences where I could be myself. But you know, it's never too late. And hopefully, another 2-3 years, I finish. I may not go to law school because my daughter, who's a lawyer, has already been telling me how many years she'll be my senior at the bar. And I'm not sure I'm ready for that humiliation in the family, so I'll probably just do the degree and hang on. But I'm honored to stand before you today because of what this institution represents and what it dares to say about the future of education on the continent. I've spent a great deal of my life arguing in boardrooms, in palaces, in academic halls, that education is not a privilege. It is not a reward for those fortunate enough to be born in the right city, to the right family with the right resources. Education is a right. And when systems are built that deny it, they do not merely fail individuals, they fail nations. That is why I accepted this invitation from my brother, Simtul Shagaya, without hesitation. Because Miva Open University is not simply a university, it is an argument. A very loud and deliberate argument, and your presence here today confirms that it is a winning argument. Let me tell you what used to be true and remains true in many places. A young girl in Kano, brilliant, asking all the right questions, inquisitive, ambitious, but cannot leave her home because parents will not permit the journey. A young man in Anambra, juggling 2 jobs, raising a family, watching the years pass, and the degree recede further into the distance. Another woman in some village in Sokoto who has the desire to study, but not the means. I've said before, and I will say it again here. If there is one single bullet, one single silver bullet that goes through many of the developmental issues that we face, it is educating the girl child. You keep a young woman in school long enough, you deal with problems of maternal death, neonatal death, malnutrition, out-of-school children, and intergenerational poverty. Even those talking about family planning and child spacing would do well to educate the girl child, because education is the most effective contraception you can give a woman. You educate her, she knows how to find out contraceptives. You don't have to start teaching her. Now that girl in Kano, she can now graduate from anywhere, as can the man from Anambra and the woman from Sokoto. And it is not a small thing. I want you to sit with the weight of that for a moment. What Miva has done is not merely convenient. It is not simply modern, it is moral. It is a deliberate act of justice, taking education to where the student is. That is precisely what an institution like this makes possible. Now there are those who will tell you that online education is somehow of a lower quality, that a degree earned through a screen carries less weight than one earned in a lecture hall. And by the way, today, if I'm not in class and I'm out of Kano, I join the class through a screen. So I'm not one of those telling you that. But let's examine the argument. Quality is not a function of geography. Rigor is not a function of architecture. And excellence does not require that you sit in a particular building in a particular city. What it requires is a learning environment that is honest, demanding, and designed around the success of the student. That is exactly what your institution, Miva, has set out to build as far as I can understand. This university did not take the easy path. It would have been far simpler to replicate what already existed, to open a campus, hire lecturers, build lecture theaters, and call it done. Instead, it appears to me that a harder question was asked by the team. What does learning actually need to look like for the Nigerian student of today? And then they built the answer from the ground up. Now I want to spend a moment on something that I think deserves far more attention than it typically receives. Miva has developed its own homegrown learning management system, designed specifically for this context, for this student, for this moment in African education. What is fascinating about this intelligent system is that multiple components speak to each other in real time, offering you feedback on your progress, reminding you where you're falling behind, and suggesting where you should be pushing forward. Not a passive system you log into and then ignore, an active, intelligent partner in your learning journey. We are living in a time of genuine anxiety about what AI means for education. That anxiety is not irrational. It's a fear that plagues all institutions, particularly online institutions. I'm told that the learning management system at the heart of this university was designed with this problem at its center. It was not built and then patched to account for AI. It was conceived from the beginning around the question of how you ensure that every student who passes because they actually learned. The convenience of online learning never becomes a backdoor around the rigor that a degree demands. The door has been widened, but the standard has not moved. That is not a small engineering achievement. It is a philosophical one. It says we see the problem the rest of the world is still debating, and we have already built the answer. And then there's the mind, the Miva interactive neural dialogue, a voice-based conversational partner that sits with a student, listens to how they reason, and then challenges them to go further. Rather than reading a case study and submitting answers into a void, a student must speak, must articulate, defend, and refine their thinking in real time, out loud, under the kind of pressure that the real world will one day demand of them. Mind listens to the quality of that reasoning, not just the conclusion, and responds accordingly. In doing so, it trains something that no multiple choice examination could do: the ability to think on your feet, communicate with clarity, and hold your ground when your ideas are tested. We are living through a period in which the entire world is trying to understand what technology means for education. Most institutions are watching, debating, forming committees, and writing policies. Your institution has been building. That is a meaningful distinction, and the degrees you hold today are the evidence. Now let me speak to you directly, graduating class. It is my understanding that throughout your time at this university, Miva has been cultivating something in you. Not merely knowledge, though I hope you have acquired that too, but the habit of asking questions, the instinct to look at a problem and ask, how do we solve this? The confidence to build something from nothing. The understanding is that the purpose of education is not simply to get a job. It is to be capable of changing the conditions under which jobs exist. In fact, I have been informed that a considerable number of you have not waited for today to begin, that even while studying, you have been building businesses, designing solutions, and creating things that did not exist before you arrived, which I find genuinely remarkable. If that is true, I want to say something clearly. I'm proud of you. I'm proud to be addressing you. Now let me say a few words, a few honest words about the world you are entering. Because I think you deserve honesty more than comfort. The job market is difficult. It will test your patience, your resilience, and sometimes your self-belief. This is not unique to you. It is the reality of an economy with more talent than formal structures can absorb. But here is what I have observed across decades of watching this country. The people who create their own opportunities, who do not wait for a system to validate them, who build rather than apply, and who solve rather than complain, these are the people who ultimately define what the system becomes. Nigeria has always been built by people who refuse to accept its limitations as final. So my counsel to you is this: do not shrink your ambition to fit the current circumstances. Expand your capabilities until the circumstances have no choice but to accommodate you. Invest in your relationships as seriously as you invest in your skills. The people you surround yourself with will determine the quality of your thinking, the scope of your ambition, and the speed of your progress. Find people who challenge you, who are not satisfied with half measures, and who want to build something that matters and be that person for others. And this, I cannot stress enough. Keep learning. You are not leaving education today. You are leaving one form of it, and I've said many times that kingship without education is worthless, and I meant it. Knowledge is not a phase of life. It is life itself. The world is changing faster than any curriculum can track, and the graduates who will matter in 10 years are not those who know the most today, but those who are still learning on the day they retire. Miva has only given you a foundation. What you build on it is entirely up to you. Nigeria needs you, and I do not say that as a slogan. I say it as a statement of fact. We are a nation of extraordinary human capital sitting on decades of unrealized potential. Every generation has carried the burden of that gap between what this country is and what it ought to be. Your generation is not exempt from that burden. But you carry it at a moment when the tools available to you are unlike anything any previous generation has had. You are educated, you are connected. You are, by the very nature of the institution that trained you, comfortable with technology, with change, with the idea that the old way of doing things is not the only way. And that combination is rare.